Welcome to Magic Arcanum. I'm Ryan Gomez. Behind the scenes is Nicole Burdick, and we're so glad you're here because it's story time. Kamigawa Neon Dynasty just dropped on Magic Arena and will be hitting tabletops soon too. To help inspire you as you explore this amazing set, today I'm sharing some of my favorite 2-card Kamigawa Kombos. But first, let me thank Into the AM for sponsoring this video. From eye-popping graphic tees to super comfortable boxer briefs, they've got the clothing that will make you the best dressed wizard at your next game night. Everything is made with premium materials and comes with that tailored fit, so there's no scratchy, boxy looking t-shirts here. No sir. I love to open my closet each morning and find inspiration in my Into the AM collection. In fact, it was this shirt, the Astro Blaster, that led directly to today's topic. A spaceman with an 80s style boombox on a glowing neon background is an interesting combination itself, which got me thinking of all the fun things we can do with Neon Dynasty. Grab one for yourself by using my Into the AM link down in the description, and you'll automatically save 10% on your next order, and that stacks with their bundles, which are already a great deal. All right, now let's talk Kombogawa. Magic has like 20,000 unique cards now. Some are very good on their own, while others do absolutely nothing by themselves. But most get better when played along with something else. Now, before we get into arguing in the comments over what makes a pairing a combo versus just having synergy, let me say this. The point of this video is to help you look at your cards in a new way. It doesn't matter if you've been playing Magic for a while or if you're new to the game and just need a gentle nudge as you explore the world of deck building. Nicole and I are the best lore mage combo in the game, so let us share our wisdom, and maybe some of these 2-card interactions will be of some help to you. The first one I want to talk about actually came up in our preview video for Geothermal Kami, but I wanted to come back to it because it's actually even better than I had initially thought. This is specifically for Pauper, which is a format that only uses common cards, but you could also pull it off in Commander or in Historic Brawl if you're playing on Arena. Here's the combo. Start with a dead Geothermal Kami, then play Omen of the Dead, which returns the spirit from your graveyard to your hand. Then play your Kami, which lets you return an enchantment you control to its owner's hand, so pick up your Omen. Now, if your opponent kills your Geothermal Kami again, you can repeat this loop over. This effectively gives you an unkillable 4/3 creature that also grows your life total by 3 points every time you go through the combo, and that can be super annoying for your opponent to deal with. My next one is definitely more synergy than combo, but I still think it's pretty neat, and it's Ashaya, Soul of the Wild from Zendikar Rising, along with Roaring Earth from Neon Dynasty. Roaring Earth is an enchantment that lets you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, and Ashaya makes all of your creatures also count as lands, which means they can each enter with a counter. That's a pretty generous buff for a one-time investment of 2 mana, but it can also make your whole team modified. Modified is a mechanic from Neon Dynasty that checks to see if your creature has a counter on it, or is wearing an aura, or is carrying some equipment, and it opens up all sorts of interesting deck building options. Add Invigorating Hot Spring to our Roaring Ashaya, and now every creature you play also has haste. Back in Strixhaven, both the Quandrix and Silverquill colleges were eager to dish out counters, but Star Pupil might be the best way to get a modified creature into play as early as turn 1. Follow him up with an Upriser Renegade from Neon Dynasty, and you've got a 2-mana 3/3. Is there an aggressive red and white deck to be built on the back of modified creatures? Sparring Regimen and Iron Apprentice, along with Kami's Flare and Flame Discharge, might make it possible. But let's switch it up and talk auras for a moment. Kaldheim gave us a cycle of runes, which go hand in hand with Runeforge Champion, who lets you pay a single mana to cast the enchantments. You can stack that with Jukai Naturalist, who further reduces the cost of enchantments by 1, making all of your runes free to cast, because yes, that reduction even applies to alternative costs. There are surprisingly few hexproof creatures in Standard as we head to Kamigawa, but you do have at least 2 options in green if you want somewhere safe to stack your runes. You could run a bit of a shell game and move your runes around thanks to Halvar, or discourage your opponent from killing your creatures by threatening to just return them to your hand with a little help from Cole the Forge Master. While we're looking at the legends and gods of Kaldheim, consider adding Cosima to your Mech Titan core team. On her backside, she's the Omen Keel, a vehicle with a static ability that helps all your other vehicles find you extra land. But where it gets really interesting is if you use this noble ship as part of your Mech Titan. The core sends itself and 4 other vehicles or artifact creatures to exile to create the Mech Titan token. But when the Omen Keel goes to exile, the game will automatically flip it back to its front side, which is Cosima. Then, if your mighty Titan should fall in battle, it returns all of the exiled cards to the battlefield. Well, minus the core itself, but we're not worried about that. Because it says card, it doesn't care that you exiled the Omen Keel, which no longer exists. You'll just get Cosima back, like a pilot who ejected from her doomed Titan. Containment Construct is a great example of what we call lenticular design, because players at different skill levels will look at this and see different cards. On the surface, it's a 2-mana 2/1, which isn't great, and it has an ability that might trigger if your opponent happens to hit you with a discard spell, but you'll still have to play your discarded card before the end of their turn. But this card can do so much more than that, because there are a lot of ways to intentionally discard cards on our turn, and our little construct buddy here lets you get even more value out of things that were already on their way to the bin. For starters, anything with the channel mechanic. Normally you'd pay their cost and discard them to use their ability, but with Containment Construct in play, you can channel one of Neon Dynasty's legendary lands and then still play the land. Or how about Reinforced Ronin? Use the channel ability to discard it and draw a card, and then play it from exile thanks to Containment Construct. At the end of your turn, it comes back to your hand, so you can repeat this combo again, keeping your hand full of fresh cards the whole time. Cards like Seize the Spoils, Unexpected Windfall, and Change of Fortune all work great here too, so long as you can discard something you wanted to play this turn anyway. Even blood tokens, those basically become pay 1, draw 1. Do not let the uncommon symbol fool you, my friends. This card is basically a mythic rare in terms of raw power, and if you see one hit the battlefield across from you, you should take it out. Alright, I've got one last one for you here, and that's Dramatist's Puppet from Neon Dynasty alongside Teleportation Circle from Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Okay, so actually these two alone don't really do much, but the idea is that you use the circle to exile the puppet and return it to the battlefield each turn, which lets you either add or remove a counter from another target permanent. And since these can be counters of any type, you can add loyalty counters to your planeswalker, or remove them from an opponent's. But we mustn't be afraid to dream a little bigger. How about charge counters on our Geist Flame Reservoir or Dragon Spark Reactor? Judgment counters on Faithbound Judge, Night counters on Replicating Ring, point counters on Strixhaven Stadium. There's a ton of cards in Standard that use irregular counters, and surely we can break one of them through the creative application of drama and puppets. So there you go, some card combinations and synergies for you to consider as you tear into your new boosters of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. But before you start working on your next deck, work on your wardrobe by visiting Into the AM using my link in the description. You'll save 10% on your order with promo code Magic Arcanum, and new clothes plus discounted price is the best combo of them all. What will you build first? Red-white modifications? Dramatic Grandmaster of Flowers? Roaring Eartha Shaya? Let me know down in the comments, and then make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the great stories you'll only find here on Magic Arcanum. We'll see ya!